Hello. I am tired, and you are listening to Literacy, where, hey, look, I've just resubscribed. Thanks, me. Did OBS do that? I didn't notice if the overlay did the flash because I had OBS covered. And anyway, it doesn't matter. Hi. It's like, it's not even like painfully hot. It's just humid. Tired, I sound an awful lot like Sam. Thanks, thank you. Yeah, I've been working on the impression. Smallcog, were you doing the time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana joke? Did I see that in chat? Before I forget, subscribers, thank you. Quack, thank you for the 9 months. Much appreciated. Almost a year, time flies. Indeed they do. Anipants, you've reached a 10 stream streak. Well done. Congratulations. Great. And me, I've been subscribed for 54 months. I've been subscribed for 58 months. The overlay is good and full of useful information. It is almost a year. Hi. Hello. Yeah, I have done nothing. Not even just for today, for like several days. And I just have no energy. It sucks. I'ma be real. Yeah. You're complaining about the time flyers. They're almost as bad as bears repeating. Oh yeah, infinite bears. It's just bears all the way down. Oh no. Yeah. So, tonight's stream is going to be another, it's going to be another shorter one. I don't see anyone complaining necessarily. I don't know, maybe you will internally grumble, I'm not sure, but you're a polite bunch, and so I don't think anyone's going to be like, hey Sam, we want more stream. But also just the way this book is paced. I had a look ahead. This next chapter is like 20 pages, which will be about a stream. Oh, hello, lie that is. What are you? Couldn't be. I've turned into Lucy while she's away. Trying to catch flies is her thing. And then the stream after that, the chapter after that is another like really long one, so I'm gonna have to break that up into sections. You've only done half the things you meant to today, and then you came home, took a nap. Yeah. I haven't done anything today. Do you get those days where it just, like, the only thing you can kind of bring, like, you've just, like, reverted to the most basic level of existence, where it's like, all that I can do is go to the kitchen, find something to eat, and then come back and just, like, sit and look at the good screen until you sort of think, no, I don't want to do this, I want to do something, and then you just go to the kitchen and you just, like a broken sim, just rinse this cycle all day until it's like, oh, I guess it's evening, I should eat something. I'm doing that all day, my dude. You all summer, to be honest, that's most days here. Okay, well, I'm glad I'm not alone. But that's... you went hot. Maybe it is. Like, the weather's not going to be helping. Apparently it's like 19 to 21 degrees centigrade, for those that use sensible units. Which, as I say, isn't that hot. Like, this, just now I'm sort of feeling the first breeze all day through my perpetually open windows. Much like my PC. But it's just humid. The air is... ugh. It's adhesive. You fixed your neighbour's wheels and found a possible thing that might be wrong with your wheels to tell the repair person. Hey, well, Lynn, amongst us, you're winning. You are getting things done. Good job. Well done. Congratulations. It's going to be 24 degrees at midnight. Like, I refuse to join the side of people who complain about the heat in the summer. I've not been doing that. Shut up. No one tell me I have been. I still think I prefer this to too cold. I don't like the, well, at least if you're cold you can put on a jumper. If you're too hot, no, stop. I think possibly, well, no, actually, no, I need to think through what I was about to say before I just like posit it as a theory and then immediately prove myself wrong. I'm not going to do the streamer thing of just running my mouth. Heat deserves to be complained about. Andy Pants. No, you're a winter person. No, that's the thing. I'm aware preferring summer to preferring winter is actually an unpopular opinion, certainly around these parts. Everyone loves them some winter. Oh, but you can put on a jumper and eat some soup. I know. I like those things too more now than I used to. But in winter, it's not still light at 9 o'clock. In winter, by this time of day, it's been dark for like 5 hours. The day's done. It's gone. It wants you to piss off and go to bed. And I, as someone who requires a 30-hour day so I can stay awake for as long as I need and then sleep, hey Sam, I wonder why you're tired, shut up, then this summer fits me better because the days are considerably longer and that is what I want. But they all still have to fit into a 24-hour span, which sucks. Anyway, hi, hello, welcome in. I hope that we're all coping as well as we can. Yeah, we have this magical invention called artificial lighting. It's not the same as sunlight, though, is it? We don't need the sun. Hey, do I have the book for you? The perfect segue into reading The Nightland by William Hope Hodgson. Set in a land without sun. Is this why you're all here? Have I just suddenly realised why people actually turn out and listen to this book? Because it's describing your ideal world. Suddenly crack this case wide open. What else have I been up to? Very little. I did today, actually, for the first time in a very long time, do a bit of reading just for myself. Because what I'm going to be reading on stream today, I'd kind of already read it a few weeks ago. And yeah, apologies to everyone. Like, sincere apologies. I know it's... I carry myself with the air of someone who doesn't subscribe to sincerity and is only ever making some kind of aside or sarcastic remark, but I do intend some sincerity behind this, that I apologise for the disrupted streaming schedule. I've just been struggling for various reasons to be able to read on a Saturday night. Sometimes I've just been busy. An absolutely massive scarab just flew into your room. Ooh, exciting. Others I've just been like tired. But yeah, as my reading for today, I kind of already done it a few weeks ago, so I only needed to skim it, which is good actually. It reminded me of a couple of bits that there's one thing I want to just address before I start reading. But I actually did a little bit of reading for myself, which I'm very proud of, and trying to get back into I Will Kill Your Imaginary Friend for $200. It continues to be very good and surprisingly moving. I'm impressed and pleased to see that Robert Brockway can actually do from one person who I think struggles with sincerity about talking about someone who I suspect also not as I don't know him as a person, but in his fiction might struggle. Does a very good job, and does a good job of punching you in the feelings. In your folklore for Mooncake Festival, one man shot down 9 sons and left one alive. Now 1 second. Right. Oh, Quirk, that is a very hard sentence for me to pass. Are we dropping frames? Are we dropping frames on a Saturday night? No, no drop frames, but the internet connection just dropped down to the red for a second. Well, then it's time for me to turn the stats panel back on. Weird. Everything, I'm still here, right? Yeah. Good. Great. I love Twitch. Twitch is amazing. Okay, good. We're all still good, I assume. And this isn't like if no one wants to say anything, that's fine. But this is also me noticing that I've not seen anything new in chat for like the last couple of minutes. I repeat, that's fine. But also because I just glanced over and saw. My name's just stop taunting One Piece. I'm not gonna say anything that would dox myself, but I would be extraordinarily surprised if my neighbours were torrenting One Piece. I haven't noticed any issues. Okay, good. That was weird. Great. But yeah, I will kill your friend for not I will kill your friend. I will kill your imaginary friend for $200. Very important, some might say load-bearing word in that title that I just skipped over. Yeah, is good so far. I am enjoying it and intend to finish it. What do I have? Do I have anything else? Let's. How dare I? How dare you? Yeah. So just quickly, there's. How to address this in tonight's bit? Me embark on my career as a hitman. No. But you know, I've been googling the dark web. That's not true. In tonight's chapter of the Nightland, there's one bit that made me just kind of go, do I need to leave this in? And it's, I guess I'll just read it. It's not like spoilers or anything like that, but I wanted to just like address it now to see what people make of this. Cause it deals with like essentially racial stereotypes. And it's the sort of thing that I could just skip and read round, but I thought I'd actually bring it up here so I can ask you, chat, the viewers, what your thoughts on this are, so that I can learn. Basically, because I'm like, I don't know. It makes me a little bit uncomfortable with the way it addresses things, but also I'm like, it's basically, is this racist? Y/N? And it's a bit in a section that I'll be getting to when I'm actually reading it, where wait, you've called your father to help and close the door, is now alone. Oh no, we've read the Algernon Blackwood story about that. That's the one with the hornet, and the guy's like, my neighbour in this hotel who I really, really hate, I'm going to let him go into the bathroom with this murderous hornet so that he dies. And the guy's just like, oh, a wasp? Bap, whacks it with a towel and shoves it out the window. Anyway, yeah, this is a bit where your protagonist is discussing the sort of the living conditions in the Great Pyramid, and how like the basically people living at different altitudes have developed differently according to like the thickness of the air. And I'll just read a little bit here and see what people think. Yet that the peoples of the upper cities had great chests, I do well know, as in like because the air is very thin, and so he is speculating that they are like big-chested, not well endowed, because the air is very thin, and so they need big chest. Yeah, big chest. There you go. To breathe in lots of the thin air. Yet that the peoples of the upper cities had great chests, I do well know, for this was a common knowledge, even as we of this age do acknowledge the peoples of Africa to be of blackness, or those of Patagonia to be of great stature. And I don't know, it's just one of those things that sort of gave me pause, and it's like, right, okay, with the excuse me from Llama, I'm like, okay, yeah, that it's just like you didn't have to, did you? You're pale. Yeah, also, good point. So I thought I'd just do like a check and see what people thought of that. And you know, feel free to discuss. It's not great. I guess it fits the time it's written in. Yeah, and like that, I've never wanted to use that as a reason for reading something that, like reading something that's uncomfortable. I'm not gonna, if something just flat out, you know, again, it's the reason I don't want to read Lovecraft on this channel. If something just flat out reads as straight up like racism, then no, I'm either not going to read the work, or I'm just going to like read round it. It's not completely bigoted, just asking questions. Right. Yeah, and so, like I say, it's with the way that is put in the sentence, I can quite easily just skim round it. Again, it's the sort of thing where I'm like, I see the point that you're making in this, but also, like, I wouldn't. It's not what I'd write, for instance, and you know, it's a little bit uncomfortable, and yeah, as I say, I don't want to like use that as, I don't want you like, well, it's how they spoke at the time, like as a justification for reading something that's getting stopped again by looking over and seeing red bars on the internet connection, which is concerning. But seemingly we're not dropping frames, so I guess I'll just keep on going. People have written worse in the time. Yeah, they have. But it's like, I guess going back to the, I feel like sort of the underpinning logic behind like omitting stuff like that is that this is like, firstly, extremely aware that both Lucy and myself are extremely white people, and additionally to that, this isn't a channel where we really devote much time at all to like literary criticism and like academic discussion. Like neither her nor I are literature academics. We're not here to like, we don't do like big discussions and contextualization of all this stuff. It is purely just like reading the story for entertainment and then moving on, much like an audiobook. And with that very much in mind, that's where I'm like, you know, frankly, there's just going to be some words that I don't want to say, or some turns of phrase, some expressions that I'm not going to read aloud, because, yeah, maybe you're desensitized as much as racism is about. Well, this is my question. Like, this is why I'm like, it doesn't read as bad necessarily to me, but I don't know if I'm just like, yeah, I don't know where it would sit on the scale, if at all. I'm probably making, well, no, I'm definitely making a far bigger point of it than really it deserves. I just wanted to bring it up before I started reading to see what people thought, really was the point. Now the Scarab, that's committing far bigger offences. By hiding. You know what? I'm just going to leave myself a little mark to go around it. And I guess if we want, we can discuss it more in the break. You don't hear it's terribly bad, a bit unnecessary though. Yeah, that's sort of where I was coming at it from. That's kind of how it felt to me. Like, but yeah, that's the thing. I don't want like, well, it could be worse to be a reason to leave it in. It's like, I guess really it's not something I feel particularly adds much to the text, other than yeah. I suppose, if anything, it's almost stumbling over actually using the phrase in earnest, but it's almost breaking my immersion a little bit, because I'm not sure that either the future character that he's writing as, or the long distant past character that he's writing as, would actually use that point of comparison. It feels very much like a William Hope Hodgson writing in, what was it, 1911? 1911, 1912. Feels much more like the kind of thing that he would say, rather than either of the two characters he's writing from the perspective of. So there. Anyway. I've devoted far too much time to all of this, so I'm just gonna, I've just left myself a little mark to just go around it. Doesn't seem to be adding anything to the story, just drive-by racism. Yeah, and like I say, I try not to be, but I am still pretty, ignorant on what things and what things said in what way are going to be upsetting or offensive to people. As I say, I try to be aware, and if I miss things, I'm happy to learn and, learn and improve. The idea that groups of people from hotter climates with more direct sunlight tended to develop darker skin, that's not incorrect, right? It's what you were told, apologies. Not like the phrasing could be better, and it seems like an unnecessary comparison anyway. Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. You're not wildly off base here. You're not, and so it's not saying and this is better or worse. It's not like making a value comparison on this. But at the same time, it's it just suddenly crashes through, swerves and crashes through the lane out of nowhere. It's like, wow, okay, sure, I guess that is one way to set up this comparison. Anyway, yeah, I'm yeah. It's not incorrect, just weird to point out for no reason. You have to deal with racists who love to point out stereotypes about African people and then go, but that's right, you can't say I'm wrong. And it's just weird. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'll as we said, it doesn't really add anything to the text. I have reached the decision that I'm just going to go around it. But in theory, your text should be pinned at the top of chat, although I've refreshed the page and it's gone. Is it still there? I hope so. If anyone... Is the text still pinned? It might not be. Oh no, do I need to repin it? Well, I'm going to do it again. Weird. There. Now it's pinned at the top of chat. Right. If we're all ready, after that lengthy discussion, if you're still here, thank you. I'm gonna do some reading for a bit, and yeah, I haven't planned to take a break in the middle. I might take a quick break, but it's a pretty short chapter, so we'll see. No, I I did do unpin at end of stream, but then I refreshed my page, and I feel like that possibly wipes it somehow. I don't know. You hear the scarabs in your room? Ah, yeah, yes. No, the scarabs in the scarabs room. Right. Anyway, reading voice on now. If we are ready, then we shall at long last continue with The Nightland by William Hope Hodgson. Chapter 8. Down the Mighty Slope. Now I went downward very quiet and slow into that darkness, and did make but a cautious way, for now you shall know me truly wrapped about with such a night as did seem to press upon my very soul, and such as you shall never have seen nor felt, so that I did seem lost even from myself, and did appear as that I went presently in unreal fashion, and did pass onward for ever and for ever through everlasting night, so that odd whiles I did make to walk with random, as that I stepped no more upon this earth, but did go offwards into the void. Yet was this foolishness of the mind set straight and proper each time that it did come about. For lo, I did kick against an upjutting rock here, and fall upon a great and unseen boulder there, and so was shaken very quickly to a sound knowledge that I trode the hard and actual earth, and had no true dealings with unreal matters. And ever did I go downward, and by this only did I have a guide to my way, yet, as you shall think, through reason of the utter dark I made scarce a mile in an hour, or even 2 full hours, and so grew bitter by reason of mine unableness to go forward with a proper and free stride. But I did think me presently upon a thing that I should do to light my path, and to this end I did make the discos to spin odd whiles, and did look down the mighty slope, the little way that the strange glistening of the discos did show, and so fixed my path into mine inward remembering, and would go forward afresh, until that I was shaken once more by the darkness, and would fain to look once again upon the blessedness of light, and make me some knowledge of my way. And, truly, the light from the discos did seem astonishing great, and this to be because there was so monstrous a darkness all about me there for ever. And thereafter would I go onward again, until the pain of my stumblings did bid me surely to have that sweet shining once more unto my path. And so shall you perceive my going, and sore and miserable was it unto the heart, and like to shake the courage of the spirit. Yet, in verity, I had come through much, and did have intent to give way to no foolishness of thought. And you shall well believe that I did make the light not more oft than I did surely need, for it was no properness of wisdom to use the power of the discos, save for mine extremity. Now, presently, when I had done this wise through 6 long and bitter hours, and it being now beyond the 20th hour since I did last slumber, I sat me down there upon the mighty slope, in the everlasting dark, and did eat 2 of the tablets, and made the water, and could but feel and hearken whether I did this thing right and that. And when I had eat and drunk, I unfolded my cloak, and wrapped it around me, and placed the scrip and the pouch under my head, and the discos I took to company me, and so fell swiftly upon sleep, yet did think earnestly, but vaguely, upon Nani, as I came unto slumber. And I slept all but 6 hours, and did waken very sudden there in the utter dark, and I got me to mine elbow, and did listen very keen, for I had waked immediately, as that something had touched me, or come nigh unto me. and I gripped the discos and listened, but there did not even a little sound come to me out of all that night. And presently I had more assuredness that naught did make harm about me, and I sat me up in the dark, and reached for my scrip, and did eat and drink there in that utter night, and fumbled somewhat, as you shall think. Yet I was done in a while, and got my gear upon me, and the discourse into my hand, and so to my feet and forward. Now all that day I did have a strange unease of the spirit, so that I stopped oft to listen, as that my soul told of something nigh unto me that did follow very quiet. Yet did mine ears perceive nothing, and so I alway to go downward again into the night that held the slope. And here should I tell how that in the early part of the 7th hour, after I had eat and drunk, and went forward as ever upon my journey down the mighty slope, I did have a very sore tumble against a sharp rock, for I put my foot sudden into a small hole, and this did make me to pitch, and I was utter shaked by the fall, and lay very quiet for a time, for the rock had surely ripped my body but for the armour. And after that I was something renewed of strength and spirit. I made that I should go no more upon my feet, but upon my hands and knees, and thus I should feel the way that I went, and have a less need of the discos, which had not overmuch use to light my way, in that I shone it not often, and did guess more than I did perceive, as you may think. And so I crept all that day, which was a bitter way of travel. Yet had I done many a sore mile thus through the nightland, and when that I had gone downward for 18 hours, and eat and drunk thrice, I ceased from my labour, and did feel about in the darkness, that I come to a level place for my rest, and so did find presently a place not so bad, and did push and cast away such small boulders as had been like to irk me. Then I did eat and drink, and afterward composed me to my sleep, and had many a thought of Nani, as I did drift unto slumber. Yet also had I memories of the strange half-fear that had been with me all that day, as though something went constantly near me in the dark. And because of this, twice did I rise unto mine elbow and listen, but heard no sound to trouble me. And afterwards did I trust that I did but fancy, and so came at last unto slumber, that yet was not over restful, for truly I did listen even as I slept. And when I had been asleep scarce 6 hours, I waked again very sudden, as I had done before, and had belief that something did be anigh unto me. And I gripped the discos, and did hearken, yet was there no sound that mine ears did wot of, neither aught that had power to be surely known of the spirit. And all that day was as the day before, save that about the 8th hour I came near to a fall into some monstrous pit in the great slope, but did only fall with my breast upon the edge, and so drew back, and presently did crawl all around it in the dark, and come safe under the lower side, yet shaken, and put more in trouble of spirit than before, and fearful how I should go, for I knew not whether I had come among such things, or whether I had but few to sorrow me. And so you shall perceive that I went over cautious for a great while in all that utter dark, but did think at last upon a plan to go with more surety and speed. But to this I did need a cord, and surely I had no cord upon me. And if a boy be no boy that hath none such about him, shall not the same be said of any man? And this I did think, as I searched me, for the saying of that day had many that were like to this. For the sayings of that day had many that were like to this. Yet in the end I did compass my plan, For I did buckle the scrip and the pouch together, and took one of the straps from the pouch, and this strap was long and thin and well suited unto my purpose. Then I fixed a stone into the end of the strap, and buckled it there, and after that I cast the stone before me, as I went upon my hands and knees, and I did hold to the hither end of the strap, and so was able to have something of knowledge whether there lay any great deepness immediately before me, in this wise to strive that I fall not down some monstrous cliff in the night. And so did I go, casting the stone continually to my front, down the slope, and this you shall think to be a cumbersome fashion of travel. Yet was I in better case than in all the time since I had begun to go downward of the mighty slope in the everlasting darkness. And at the 18th hour I did sleep, and was waked strangely before the 6th hour, even as I had waked before. And this did put always upon me a new wonder and unease. Yet did no harm seem to come unto me, and I did strive that I have no needful trouble of mind. But that something was always nigh unto me in the dark, I do truly believe. Yet have I no knowing that it was evil, for it harmed not me. And 3 days more I journeyed thus, and did never cease to creep downward, weariful upon my hands and knees, and the discos I had to my hip, and so shall you know how I carried it. And by this, as you do know, I had been on the great slope 6 days of utter dark, and did have no wotting, but that I went unto some dire and dreadful place, for surely I had gone for ever downward a monstrous way. And here, before I tell further, I must set down how that the cold was much gone from out of the air upon the slope, and the air was grown, as it did seem, very heavy unto my chest. And concerning this matter I should say something, for, if I do mind me, I have said not overmuch concerning the air of the night land and the mighty pyramid. For truly I have been so set to tell my story of all that I did truly see and adventure upon. Yet, though I have said but little, you will surely have perceived that the air of that far and chill time was not as the air of this, but was thin and keen within the night land, and lay not, as I do think, to a great height above the land, but only nigh to the earth. And as you do know through my tellings, there was a wondrous difference between the air within the mighty pyramid, and that which lay without around the base, for upward beyond that I did understand that there was no outward air that any should breathe, and so was all the pyramid sealed in certain wise in all the upper cities for ever. And whether it was sealed utterly from the outward air of the base, I do not surely remember, if, in truth, that I did ever bother my head to such matters. Yet, if I be set proper in memory and understanding, we did draw air from the underground fields, but whether they gat any change or newness of air from the night land, I have no knowledge, and do lament that I have no sure knowing. Yet, as you shall believe, I could surely write 100 books upon that wonder of the future, and be still lacking in the half of all that there is to be told. And so do I try to have courage to this my task, and to have no over trouble, because that I do tell but a little of a great tale. And here, in this place, will I set down how the peoples of the pyramid were greater to the chest, methinks, than we of this age, but yet do I have no oversurety in the matter. For well it may be that the reason of this age doth blind within me somewhat the knowledge that I have concerning that. For, in verity, is it not but a natural thing to believe those peoples to be great of the chest, so that they should make a proper dealing with the thin air of that place and that time? And yet, as I do strive to make plain unto you, because that this thing should be, by the making of my reason, I do the more distrust that reason shall make foolish my knowledge, or even a fool should suppose that which I have told, and the truth may be even otherwise. Yet that the peoples of the upper cities had great chests I do well know, for this was a common knowledge. And by this one thing should any know a man of the upper cities from a man of the lower cities. And because that there grew this difference among the peoples, there had been once, as any could learn from the histories, a plan whereby the peoples should be moved upward and downward through the great height of the mighty pyramid, from this city unto that. Yet had it met with great disfavour, and was put out of force, and this is easy to be seen as the natural way of the human heart. And here it doth occur to me that it was like enough to be a plan for health, beside of training of the mind, that each youth and maid was put to travel through all the cities of the mighty pyramid, the which did take 3 years and 225 days, as I have told before this. For by this plan were they made to breathe the air of every height, and this, mayhaps, unto the good of their developing, and they also to discover that air which was best to their need. And concerning the air of the Nightland, you shall know that there was in all that land no flying thing, because the air was grown very thin. Yet, as the records did show, there had once been monstrous flying brutes that went over the land in mighty bounds. But this was in a long gone age, and we could but suppose that the records gave truth. And here you shall know that, when the Monstruacans did learn that I would journey through the Nightland in search of Nani, there had been some foolish and well-intended talk among them that I take the small flying ship that was in the great museum beside the models of the great ships, for truly this machine was yet sound to go, for it was made of the grey metal of the mighty pyramid, that did seem to have no power to cease. Yet, in verity, I had no skill to manage this, neither had it flown through 100,000 years, so that none did know the mastership of that art, which did be learned but by a constant practice, and oft made uneasy by fallings that did wreck the machine, as I did know from the book of flying. And, moreover, as I have told, the air of the Nightland was grown over weak to uphold such a thing, which, I doubt not, had made the peoples of the pyramid to cease from flyings quite so much as that they did fear the forces of evil in the night. And if that there had been air and skill sufficient unto this purpose of flying, yet had I been wicked with foolishness, that I should work to be hung upwards in the night, for all the evil of the Nightland to behold. And though I had gone up some great way, yet the machine had surely made a great noise in the quietness of the eternal night, as you shall suppose. Now, indeed am I gone weary that I should need to tell so much concerning the air of that time and place, for surely I do seem to make this my story, as that I did make a lecturing upon matters of chemistry. And so do I cast about, that I may not bother to tell more upon this matter. Yet, in truth, a little more of my thinkings and observings had I better set down here, and so be done with it. But you shall have patience with me, and know that had this, my story, been no more than an idle tale, I had been free to make no labour with such matters. Now there doth a wonder come to me why that the road-makers, who are of that far-off age, which was before the age of the mighty pyramid, did not fly downward from the upper world into the deep of the monstrous valley, but did instead build a road. Yet it may be that the air of the upper world had grown thin a great age, so that they had truly forgot that one man did have the power to fly. But even if that they did have proper machines to this purpose, surely it were a wondrous and fearful thing to fly downward 100 great miles, for they surely to have a dread that they never to rise again through so huge a deep. And, moreover, the downward world that was the bottom of the great valley was full of monsters, as was told in the little metal book. And the monsters were very strange and unknown, and foreign to the whole world that had never come unto the deep of the valley. And the valley had come, as you shall mind, when the earth did split, and this thing was, in truth, like to be thought that same ending of the world, which all nations have been taught to believe shall come. For, in verity, when the world did split and burst, and the oceans rushed downward into the earth, and there was fire and storms and a mighty chaos, surely it was proper to think that the end had come. Yet was it, in truth, but the beginning of hope of a new eternity of life, so that out of the end came the beginning, and life out of death, and good out of that which did seem a dire matter. And so is it always. Yet doth this go past my first wonder, which did concern the wherefore that they made not to descend in things of flight. Yet, maybe, shall my reason stand to show why this was not. And, again, mayhap it did chance that some were wild adventurers, and did leap over the edge of the upper world, having to ease their flight certain contrivings like to parachutes. And these you shall picture as that you watch them to leap, and so shall you see them go downward into the gloom, and you shall see them for maybe 10 miles, and maybe for 20 miles, and afterward shall they be lost utterly in the great deep, and seen no more of any man for ever. But when the nations became road-makers, and came downward slowly to the monstrous deep of the mighty valley that did split the world, then were they come there by millions, and with power sufficient to fight against the beasts, and afterwards to grow back again to an ancient civilizing, and so to the building of the great airships that were yet shown in the great museum of the pyramid. And here shall I cease from these my thinkings on this matter, for indeed who shall say what did be truly a reason for those peoples, and what was their need? And so do I come to no surety by my wanderings. Yet, as you do know, all things do seem verily to go in a circle, for, behold, in time they of the mighty pyramid were likewise held off from the glory of the airships, and so were gone backward a great way, according as we do look upon this matter. And so hath this been the way always, as you shall know who have studied and thought, and seen the true ways and goings of life. And I think I am actually going to take a quick break there, if that's all right with you, chat, or even if it's not, but I'm going to take a quick break anyway. So, I'm going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the mic with the book. Yeah, I'm going to get up, move around, stretch, try and wake myself up a bit, and then we're going to come back for the second half of this. So, thank you, and I will see you once I have sufficiently creaked my chair. I will see you back here in about 5 minutes, friends. Bye for now. back. Hello. Hi. Welcome back. In a rare treat for myself, I actually got up and moved around. I even went and refilled my water. Chat, are you proud? Did I do well? You know, it's about to turn 10 o'clock and it's still like light outside. It's not bright, but the sun's kind of only just set. And, you know, honestly, it's quite nice. I like this. There's still just the occasional puff of a cool breeze creeping through the window. There's people yelling in the street. There's blackbirds chirping the evening chorus. You know, nature is healing. Not a big fan of all of these things, but hey, what can you do? Yeah, did you all have a good and fulfilling break? Are you all sufficiently educated on the air of this future Nightland? What things are going to be like in, you know, a million years or so? Are your lungs adequately prepared for the thin future air of the Nightland? Mid-afternoon here and you're on your bed and the light is all green from the grass and trees outside and you've got the fan on. It's very pleasant. See, summer's nice. Got you. You walked into that. Yeah. I love that, like, he keeps sort of taking these diversions to, it's like he's done all this world building and sees it as his role, either as writer or narrator. Sees it as his role to, like, show you his world building. But no, look, I thought about it. I thought about what the air condition, like what condition the air's going to be in. You said AC, so my brain's just on air conditioning. But like what the air is going to be like to breathe in this future world. And so I'm going to have to explain this to you for several pages. Like, but then he's also self-aware enough to go, and now I've spent a long time just talking to you about the air, and I didn't really come here to give a chemistry lesson, so on we go. But I'm sure you can understand why I've talked all about the air, and here's a little bit more, but then on we go, and it keeps doing these little diversions, which I do find entertaining. But I pick up my book because I believe we should continue if we are ready. I have more water. Actually, where do I want to place my water? Such that I can reach it whilst reading. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, I don't know. I'm good to continue if everyone else is ready. If not, stop what you're doing and catch up now, because but you better believe we're about to press on with the rest of chapter 8. The second half of chapter 8. So, I'm going to continue from where I left off. With puzzling ready? Great. Then yeah. As the sound of presumably possibly drunken teenagers yelling in the street echoes through my window, commingling with the chirping of evening-time blackbirds, we continue with The Nightland, Chapter 8. And now I will go forward in my telling, and here will be set down a sure thing that I did perceive, both by mine ears and by my fingers, for, as I did make clear to you but a while gone, there had come a change into the air as I did go downward of the mighty slope. And truly I was come to a great and new deepness, even beyond that of the wondrous depth where did stand the last redoubt, so that I was afar down and in a monstrous night. And the air here was of a great thickness and abundancy, even as it might be the air of this our age, or maybe more or maybe less, or who may compare two matters with a sure guessing? that do have an eternity to keep them asunder. And because that the air was grown very strong and apparent, it shall be, mayhaps, that it was by reason of this thing that the water, when I did make it, did fizz upward in a moment very loud and plentiful, and did boil overward to the earth from out of the cup, and wet upon my hand. And surely this thought did come very keen to my reason, as I did fumble, each time of mine eating, there in the everlasting night and lonesomeness of the great slope. And so shall you have knowledge now of this and that thing which did come upon my thought, and of the little and the big wonders, and all shall help something to give unto you the ache of newness and bewilderment that was constant companion unto me. Now by this time, as I have said, I was gone downward ever for 6 great days, and I did seem as that I should presently come to the middle of the world, for of going downward there was no end. And then, when it did be that I was near ready to believe this, I perceived far off in the deep of the night a little shining that was yet weak and unsure, and I do not know whether I can truly give unto you the great astonishment and pain of hope that did come upon me, so that I grew sick in all my being but to behold once again the blessedness of light, and to have help unto my belief that I went not downward to an utter desolation. And I stood upward from my knees, and did look very earnest, and surely it did seem that a light was there afar downward in the night, and again it did seem that I must be plagued by my hopes and by my fancy, and that there was nowhere any light. And then again I did see it very clear, and not to be mistaken, and I had a shaking to come upon me, and I gat me to a run, and made a great and mad speed down the dark slope. And lo, I was not gone any way, but I went headlong, and near brake myself, and could but hold my teeth together, very fierce and quiet, until that the pain was something gone from me. And afterward I gat me again to mine hands and knees, and went slowly as before, and so for a great hour or more, and did look oft, and alway the light became more plain to my sight, but ever to come and go oddly wise. Yet did I go 6 hours, before that I was come anywise near to it, and by this shall you know how great a space off it had been. And lo, when that I did seem surely anigh unto it, truly was it still far away in the night, and I came not indeed near to it, until that I was gone onward again for 3 hours more. And all that time did I yet go downward into the night, but the slope now did not be so utter dark. Now, presently, I made a pause, and stood upward to my feet, so that I should the better perceive the light. And lo, as I did look toward it, I heard a far-away sound in the dark, as that something did set up a strange and monstrous piping in the night. And immediately I went to mine hands and knees among the stones of the slope, and kept myself low in the darkness, so that I should be in the less plain to be seen, did any monster approach. But there came nothing to trouble me, and I went downward of the slope for yet another hour, and all the time that I did go, the sound of the piping grew more in the great eternity of the night upon the slope. And by this time was I come truly near unto the light, but yet did not behold it plainly, for it did burn beyond certain monstrous rocks that stood between. And I went to the left for, maybe, the half of a big mile, and all the while that I did go, the piping made a mightier whistling in the night, and it did seem presently as that the earth sent forth the sound and revelry of wild roarings. And I went the more silent, and later did kneel, fireworks, I guess, and later did kneel among 3 rocks, and peered forth for a while upon the place before me. I have... Are you a moth? Are you a moth or mosquito? A moth-skeeto? So I'm being bothered by a small insect. It's just a little moth. Small insect at the same time as, like, firework, like, bangs just went off outside, so that's exciting. Apologies. I will continue. And now, being come nigh unto the light, though yet it was not unhid from behind the great barriers of the uprising rocks, excuse me, I perceived that I crouched within the mouth of a mighty gorge, and the left side was a great way off, and I saw it plain at whiles when the light did rise. But the light was to the right, and it was so wondrous great that it did make clear to me that a mountain was to that side of the gorge, and went upward into the everlasting night, as it did seem for ever. And afar down the gorge I did see the shinings of strange fires, faint and a great way off. And so was I come at last to the bottom of the mighty slope, yet the gorge also to go downward, but not so great. And presently I did go forward again, and so did open the point of the rocks, as the sailors do say. And I saw now that there gushed forth a great blue flame from the earth, and the mighty rocks stood about it, as that they were olden giants grouped there to some strange service. And concerning this flame, I was not overmuch astonished in my reason, for it had seemed to me as I drew anigh that the fire and the sound should be made by the roaring and whistling of a burning gas that did issue forth among the rocks. Yet, truly, though it did be a natural matter, it was yet a wondrous sight, and set amazement on my senses, for the flame did dance and sway whitherward monstrously, and sometimes did seem that it dropped so low as 100 feet, and afterward went upward with a vast roaring into the utter height, and did stand mighty and blazing, maybe a full 1,000 feet, so that the far side of the gorge was lit, and surely it was 7 great miles off or more, but yet did show plain and wondrous. And the light did show me the flank of the mountain, that made the right-hand side of the gorge to go up measureless into the night. And so shall you perceive that I stayed a while among the rocks that were in the mouth of the gorge, that I should gaze upon this thing, but afterward I looked this way and that way, so that I should have a knowing of the place where I was come. And it was a wild and stark and empty place, as you must perceive, and the far side did be great miles off, as I did say, and everywhere there was abundance of rock and lonesomeness. And before me there went the great and dim length of the gorge, and there were lights here and lights there, in a great distance, and oft, as it did seem, the quiet dancing of lights in divers places. But yet were these gone on the instant, and ever there was a strong and vacant silence upon that place. And presently, after that I had looked once more unto the mighty dancing flame, and perceived nowhere any life around it, I went onward down the quiet gorge. And for a great way as I journeyed was my path lit by the dancing of the blue flame, and oft should I seem to be going but dimly among the rocks, and my shadow faint and long. And lo, the flame would leap, and all the gorge come to a wondrous brightness, and my figure to shorten, and the shadows to be black and strong. And so shall you perceive how I went. And oft did I turn me about to behold the dancing of the great light, for it was solemn to my spirit, even amid so much of greatness and eternity, to think upon that flame, and to conceive that it had an utter age danced there at the foot of the mighty slope, unseen, through lonesome eternities. And this I do tell unto you, and thereby may you have some knowledge of the strangeness and the bitter loneliness of that place, which, in verity, did seem the expressing of all the lonesomeness of my wanderings. And all the time, as I did go downward of the great gorge, there sounded the blast of the roaring that was presently afar to my back, and the mountain sides did catch it here and in that place, and sent it offwards with strange and improper echoings, as of a chill piping, or oddwise as hushed whisperings of monstrous creatures, so that I did oft stoop to hide a little among the boulders. For truly I knew not but that some unnatural thing called from the darkness of the mountain side. And for 6 hours I walked onward thus, and sometimes did hide, having a sudden fear, as I have told. And presently, in a great while, the roaring was sunk to a far and monstrous piping, but in the end to no more than a far and uncertain whistling, that yet did catch strange echoes in the night. And in the end there was only a quietness, and yet, as you do perceive, there had been always a silence in that gorge, as I have told, and this to the despite of the whistling. And I do hope that you have understanding with me in this matter, for it was truly as I have told, and there is no contrariness of telling in this matter. Now, in all this time that I had walked in the great gorge, I had passed 4 of the far lights that I did see from the bottom of the slope, and the first 2 and the 4th were blue, but the 3rd was green, and all did dance and quake, and sent fitful shinings into the belly of the gorge. And there came also from them whistlings, and from the 2nd one a low and strange moaning noise, that I doubted not the gas did come oddly and with trouble. And I passed these things with no great thought, for truly they were no matters for notice, after that which I had beheld. Now, as you shall mind, it was surely in the early 3rd of the 7th day of my journey down the mighty slope that I saw the first shining of the monstrous gas fountain, and from that time until now had there passed maybe 16 hours. And, as you do wot, I had eaten not in all my travel since that I had seen the light, so that I was gone to a proper lack inward, and moreover it was full 19 hours or more since that I had slept, and all that while had I laboured. And I ceased me from wandering, and looked about that I should come to a safe and proper place for my slumber, and this I saw very quick, for there was dry stone and rock everywhere, and no failing of holes and divers places to my purpose, so that I was soon in a little cave between 2 mighty boulders. And here I eat 4 of the tablets, for truly so many were my due, and I had not been violent had I eat more. And afterward I made some of the water, and it did fizz up in a moment, so that I perceived that but a good pinch made a great cup full. And this I set to the count of the strong and heavy air, as I have told, which I did think to have a greater power of chemistry. And presently I slept, having my gear about me as ever, and the discos to my breast. And as I went into slumber I thought sweetly upon Nani, as I had done, indeed 100 times since I was come to the hopefulness of the lights of the gorge. Now, whilst I slept, I dreamed that the master word did presently beat all about me in the night. Yet, as I do mind, I awaked not, and because that I continued to sleep, I have no sure knowing whether this was truly a dream or a happening. and I minded me upon it when I waked. But this was after that I had slept 7 hours, and I could have no sureness anywise of the matter, but only that I was come safe through my sleep, though heavy within my head and limbs, as that the air did call me unto a further slumbering, as is like enough. And after that I had eat and drunk, I put my gear about me, and the discos to my hip, for I needed both my hands to the task of journeying amid the great boulders. And I set forth again down the half-light of the mighty gorge, and through 18 hours I made a strong going, save when I did pause at the 6th and 12th hours to mine eating. And by the 18th hour was come, I was very ready to my food and slumber, and presently I was asleep in a place of the rocks. And that day had I passed 23 of the dancing gas fires, and 5 been like a white fire, but the others blue and green, and all did dance, and made a strange and uncertain light within the great gorge. Yet was it a peaceful thing unto my spirit that there was truly light, as you shall understand. And I slept 6 hours, and waked, and did want more sleep, as you shall think. But I eat and drunk, and put my gear upon me, and went on downward of the gorge. And at the 6th hour, after that I had eat and drunk, I came to a part where the big gas fires did cease to dance, and there was a certain darkness upon that place. Yet was it not a proper dark, for there came the glimmer of a flame here, and the glimmer of a flame there, as that little flames came upward between the stones, and did vanish, and come upward in another part. And so did light and die out constant and forever, amid the stones and the boulders of that lonesome gorge, and made a low spread light, so that it did seem unto me that strange shudders of light beat upward through the dark of that place. And I went onward, and a heavy fume did seem to hang in the air, and horrid gases to come upward from the earth in odd puffings, and anon a light would leap upward beyond— oops, that was me just breaking something? No, just trying to high-five a moth. And please stop bothering me. Please leave me alone. And just catching— oh, that's— hang on a second, I'm sorry, that's probably really loud. My clip-on light is slightly giving up the ghost. No, we're fine. We're fine. How are you? Luke, we're gonna have company. We're great. We're doing great. Chat, where was I? I think I was here. And afterward I came beyond this place, and you shall see me going very lonesome among the rocks of the gorge beyond. And by this it was come anigh unto the 18th hour, and I did find a place proper to my slumber, and did eat and drink, and was quickly gone over unto sleep. And here I should tell how that I had not an over-fear of evil powers, whilst I was in the great gorge, for truly it did seem as that nothing that ever did live came anigh to that wild and silent place of stone and rock, but that I journeyed through it alone, and was surely the first that did go that way for maybe 1,000,000 years. And this feeling that was upon me, I do hope you to perceive and take unto yourselves, and thus have an understanding of my heart at that time. And as you shall know, I went always unto slumber with sweet and with troubled thoughts of the maid. Yet for a great while I had been put so mightily to the labour of my way, that my heart did suffer less at this time than should be thought. And truly it doth show me how I was drawn unto that one with all my being, and that I surely think so oft and sweetly upon her, amid so many perils and matters of horror. And this doth seem something strange to say, when that you do consider that I was adventured unto these same perils and horrors, but only for the sake of the maid. And in 6 hours did I wake, as I did strive alway to set myself to do. Yet was I very heavy and slow for a while, until that I was more properly come to wakefulness. And surely, as I did think before, this was like to be put upon me by the weighty air of the place. But yet it might also be the gas which did float in the gorge was upon my lungs. And also, as you have perceived, if but you have attended my way, the air was grown warm, and oft were the rocks pleasant to the seat, and all of these matters did contrive to make me slumbrous. Now, presently, the gas fires did cease utterly in the gorge, and I looked downward along that great place, and saw only a greyness, but above the greyness there was, as it did seem, something of a vague and ruddy shining in the night, and this did wake me to wonder what new thing lay before, so that I grew more eager among the boulders. And later, when I had eat at the 6th and 12th hours, and gone on a while, I came to a place where the gorge made a quick turning unto my left, and at the end of the turning was a red and glowing light that was very great and wonderful, so that I was utter keen to come to that place, that I should discover what made the shining, and the place where I was come then was very dark, because that I was nigh under the mighty wall of the mountain of the right side of the gorge. Yet above, as it did seem to me, there was a far red upward glowing in the night. Then did I go forward very fast, and presently, in a good while, I discovered that I drew near to the second great turning that went to the right. And about the 17th hour I came nigh unto the second great turning, and here did I put caution upon me, and crept for a while among the dark rocks of that place, that I should come to a sight of that which made the monstrous red shining. And presently I was beyond the corner of the mountain, and did look downward into a mighty country of seas, and the burning of great volcanoes, and the volcanoes did seem as that they burned in the seas, and the country was full of a great ruddy light from the volcanoes. And so shall you perceive me there among the rocks that did all stand upward, strange and bold and silent in the red and monstrous glare of the light. And I, as it did seem, the one thing of life in all that desolation and eternity of rock and stone, there in the end part of the great gorge. And I peered forth into the wonder of the light, and was full of thrillings and fancies that I was surely come to the place where the lesser redoubt had been builded. And immediately I knew that this was not so, for sure had not Narni told how that they were in a land of darkness. And if this did be so, truly how wondrous and dread a way had I yet to go, if that this country of seas and mighty volcanoes stood between. Surely it did seem to me then as that I must wander searching unto the world's end. And so shall you be company unto me there with my trouble and my thoughts, and the immediate wonder and strange glory of that mighty country. And that brings us to the end of the chapter, and where I'm finishing for today. Thank you for listening. Apologies for the Mothman fight in the middle. It was bothered. It kept like flying, doing that thing that moths do. It is like, hey, please leave me alone. Hey, gonna put Oh, yeah, that's the little, like, not a sucker, but just like a little kind of rubbery pad on the light. It's completely perished, broken away. Lucy, hello, welcome in. Thank you for the 57 months. I mean, you can thank yourself as well. I hope that you have had a good evening. It is lovely to see you. Kind of amusing how many words he uses to say the simplest things. Yeah, I think the same thing constantly whilst reading it. Like, I am going to take 5 pages to explain and re-explain to you what the air is like, and punctuated constantly with there's all the expressions like, and you will know this to be true because I'm saying it to be true, and by my saying it to be true you shall know. It's like he keeps kind of saying little almost like verbal ticks like that, and then it will be like the stuff that I'm gonna start sprinkling, as you shall know, liberally in every energy, right? But you have to, it's got to be like, yeah, as you shall know by my telling of this, and by my telling of this you shall know it to be true. Like, yeah, it's sort of doing that, and yeah, it feels like talking in circles. And then it will be like he'll like agonize over these details, and then be like, oh yeah, and by the way, I walked for like 6 hours past 7 rocks. Let me tell you more about the water here. And it's like, did nothing happen in this time? And it continues to be fascinating to me. This, like, yeah, it's just a really fascinating book. It's I'm trying to find the right words to describe it, because like I want to say it's boring in a non-derogatory way, but also it is kind of genuinely, it's a vibe. Yeah, but I'm trying to be more specific than that. It's like it's boring parentheses or so open bracket derogatory, open second bracket affectionate, close bracket. Like it is written this way with a real clear intent. Yeah, hypnotic. I think that's pretty close to how Anne Vandermeer describes it in the little introduction. I say little introduction. It goes on for several pages. The introduction that she wrote, that's in this sort of frankly, the sort of hypnotic, repetitive nature of the writing of this journey. Sort of what almost like the mental exercise that I'm doing whilst reading it is I'm sitting here thinking like, how would I tell this tale? What would I do? I mean, for one, I would want to write it differently. I do think meditative, yeah. Like I do think the chosen writing style, he's sticking to it consistently. I don't think it's not what I would choose to do. I would struggle to keep it up. But I think as well, just in terms of like detail and information, like you don't need to have action to keep things interesting. Like, sure, he's kind of wandering through this pitch black, like, land of strange monsters and things. Tell you what it reminds you of is the Sam and Frodo chapters in the Two Towers. See, Lord of the Rings is what I keep going back to, and it's been a long old time since I've read Lord of the Rings. So I can't make good comparisons there myself. But yeah, I keep thinking this is like a real interesting as a precursor to Lord of the Rings. Not in content necessarily, though it's also not a boring walking, but in vibe, definitely. You got the third try, nice one. yeah, like, yeah, that's sort of where I keep going as well, with like, you know, the Lord of the Rings, they walk and they walk and they walk and they walk. Um, and it's like that cranked up to maximum. Like this is just walking, and really it's more like his head's just empty while he's doing it, and so nothing's really happening, and he's just walking through the sand. And partly I'm like, well, this world you've created sounds really interesting. Tell me more about it, but like, not what the air quality is like. You can do that in a paragraph. It doesn't need to be pages. And yeah, you're setting out with all these interesting places that he's seen from his perch atop the Great Pyramid, and all these different wonders and things. And I don't expect everything to be covered, and I don't expect him to like, here's all the things that I've seen as a setup for here's where we're going. That's fine. Leave some mystery and wonder in the world. Tell me more about the 10th of the word count. I mean, I and again, I think this just comes down to writing style and like intent. Of I just want to jazz it up a bit. I would just want to like, I'm fine like with the same volume of text, but just kind of make it more interesting. Use it to say, like, put more colour into the world, really, I think is where it comes for, you know, the Nightland. That wasn't a pun. You do kind of enjoy the word soup now. Yeah, like, I'm getting into it. You think it would help if the story had, like, any character work? Yes. Yeah, that, like, this... Yeah, we all we know about the kind of the only character that we're really in contact with is that he's super cool and good. Everybody loves him. He's like the hero of this place. He's also like a pretty young guy, and he's really cool, guys, and he has the best job, and everyone in the tower loves him. And he really loves this woman, and he wants to... partly what I'm thinking is, okay, what does he do when he gets there? Because is he going to lead them all back? Because we've seen how well that works. They're all going to get killed by monsters. So is he just going to come back with her? And like escort her through all this? Because that sounds pretty dangerous. I don't know what's going to happen when they get there. But like, yeah, there's very little character to cling on to. And again, I feel like that is a conscious choice. But yeah, it's... I think it's that thing where what I see a whole lot of potential scope for, I guess, broadly what I would call like some kind of frictional surface, like something to get to grips with, something to feel, something to latch onto and get like excited about. And he has just sanded all of it off with this way of telling the story. And I can only keep repeating, like, this is not to be like, none of these sentences are finished with, and this is a bad story. That is not, I'm not saying it's bad, he's written it badly. Again, he's written it exactly the way he wanted to serve the purpose that he wanted it to, not to fit the purpose that he wanted it to. And that's fine and good. But it's just like an exercise that I always do when I'm reading something and thinking, I get it, but I don't fully vibe with it. How would I do this different? And yeah, it's like you've got this whole fascinating world, and you're kind of delivering it to me in the most, yeah, just like, I'm trying to find other words than just like vibes based, but yeah, like there's this sort of frictionless texture to it. It's made choices that are not the choices I would make, but that's his prerogative. Yeah, exactly. And, like, there are apparently, like, at least one person, I think there might be a couple, I'm not sure, modern attempts at, like, rewriting and reworking it. I'm just trying to see if which ones she's mentioned in the intro. Don't mind me. One daring writer rewrote the entire novel in a way that he perceived would be more palatable to the modern reader. This edition, The Nightland, A Story Retold, 2011 by James Stoddard, is yet another attempt to engage, explain, reimagine and control the narrative genius of William Hope Hodgson. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I would be interested to see that, how someone else has retold it, whether they've, like, essentially truncated the book considerably to keep the content, but, like, trim out a lot of the sort of needless repetition. And, like, have they... Yeah, I'd be interested to see whether they've, like, reworded it, rewritten it, taken the story beats and just, like, trimmed out a lot of content, or have they actually, like, inserted a whole bunch of extra detail into it, like, sort of the I guess kind of the thing that people have been using, well, one of the earlier things people were using generative AI to do, and just, like, here's a painting and we've used it to, like, fill out all the extra spaces around it, and, like, do you think the artist stopped because they ran out of canvas? But doing that sort of thing with this, of, like, well, here's a whole bunch of extra stuff that I imagine Hodgson would have included in this story, and I'm just gonna, like, rewrite in a bunch of extra details and things that I imagine to be there. Or, yeah, I'd be interested to see that. Not in, like, I think I might enjoy this more than this. I might, but it'd be a different experience. But just to actually see how someone chooses to reimagine this work. Still, that's where we're finishing. We are nearly, I believe, at the halfway mark. So, you know, get your fireworks and champagne ready for that. Oh, the first 2 chapters are available online. Sick. I'll have a look at that after the stream then. Nice. Thank you. I think I know the name James Stoddard. I don't think I do. Oh, okay. This light is trying to give up, so I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna remove it, and again, apologies for the noise. I'm gonna go. So yeah, thank you all for being here. I hope that you have. We will need 11 pages to describe the fireworks. Ah, yes, but in the driest way you can imagine. Yeah, thank you for being here. Have yourselves a good rest of the weekend. Do you want to read anywhere? Who is it on? Is on. Billiam's on. Let's go say hi to Billiam again. I've not been particularly sociable lately. I've not been, like, raiding people and doing the stuff that I should do, so I'm gonna... Let's go and do that instead. My Firefox continues to be broken, which sucks, so go. Damn it. Refresh the page and hope that fixes it. Does that fix? Okay, good. Be able to raid in a second. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Go say hello to Billiam. He's probably doing art. Hopefully we're not just catching him at the end of a stream as he's trying to, like, get out and say goodbye. I guess we'll see. Yeah, take care of yourselves. Have a good rest of the weekend, however much you have left, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye.